Remember this game, Vampire The Masquerade Bloodlines, a game famous for being perhaps the single best role-playing game ever produced. And this in despite of, by the way, the fact that upon release it was virtually unplayable. It was such an unbelievable buggy mess that on a purely technical basis, it wasn't merely just a failure, it was completely and utterly non-operational. And yet, despite that, it is today now known as one of the best games ever made. That is one hell of an achievement, and, well, this is it today. Oh well, this is its sequel, Vampire The Masquerade Bloodlines 2, this here being the concept art for one of the NPC characters, and oh boy, okie dokie then. It's going to be one of those video games, isn't it? Yes, indeed. See, this is probably going to be old news for some of you, but when the original development team were, well, kicked off the project by Paradox, I kind of just gave up on the game. I'd expected it to simply just slink off into oblivion and die a quiet death somewhere. But apparently, Paradox decided to try and give it a second lease on life, hiring in a new development studio, the Chinese Room, probably most famous for Dear Esther, the world's first walking simulator, and Amnesia, a machine for pigs, which I have been told was a massive letdown in the Amnesia series. Now, I will also point out that their recent release, Still Wakes the Deep, have received very positive reviews, even if not that many, so hey, it's not a complete guaranteed disaster based solely on the developer, but whew, okay then. So I started looking through some of the character design and stuff that had come up since I had just briefly had a look back at the game now just recently, and man, this looks like one of the most modern video games I have ever seen. And I do mean that as the curse word and as the pejorative it most absolutely is. This is Ventru, I believe. It's kind of remarkable because on the one hand, all I see here are extraordinarily feminine clothes, and yet at the same time, all I also see is just androgynous blandness, where, I mean, even this, it doesn't look like a man, nor does it really look like a woman either. It's remarkable how this character and these outfits are so utterly devoid of personality, or any real, well, signifiers at all. This bunch here, from, I believe this is the new clan? I mean, so all hoodies and a dress suit? Okay. And then we got a weird cult outfit then. Alright, sure. Here we have, I believe, Tremere. This is the only one I kind of like. This actually looks like a Tremere outfit. This, but this one's actually okay. This one's not bad. I could see a Tremere wearing this, and it even looks like something, well, again, a female or a male could wear. But it does have, it is the only outfit out of all these that has what appears to be possibly the outline of vague boobage. Not entirely sure there. The Bruja, again, we are back to 100% androgynous, as further exemplified by this more full render. Wow. I mean, hell, we can sum this up quite easily by looking at the senior narrative designer here, she, they, or Josh Matthews, community manager, he, they. Yes, this does indeed look like a video game made by they, thems, doesn't it? Oh boy indeed. As this usually, of course, also means that the developers will be bringing a whole lot of other baggage along with them as well. As, I mean, hey, she's senior narrative designer, whereas this guy is the principal narrative designer, he, him. But I'm pretty sure I can tell who's wearing the pants in this particular office relationship right here. See, I want to point out something interesting. When The Acolyte came out, it was an unmitigated disaster, to the points of which where even the most progressive of media outlets could not defend it, even if that Disney bag was on the table, even if access to further Disney project was at risk, even if they desperately wanted to back up what was by far the most progressive Disney show ever made. There was simply nothing to protect. But then came the sexy Sith, and suddenly, this is it, this is what we can protect. Finally, Star Wars has managed to make the dark side appealing by taking off the character's shirt. And this always seemed like an extraordinarily shallow analysis, because it is. However, here's the thing. The fundamental misconception there is that the dark side in Star Wars has nothing to do with sex. It has nothing to do necessarily with physical attraction or physical beauty. It is about power. It is about the corrupting influence of power and taking a shortcut to achieve your objectives without necessarily all of the labor involved in it. That's what it's about. It is about force. That is what the dark side is about, and that is also why it is supposed to be the inherent evil force in the universe. But in Vampire, that is not so. A great deal of the point of Vampire is sexuality. Vampires are eternally young, for example, which of course we connect almost exclusively with beauty. They are usually ephemerally attractive, that pale white porcelain skin. The fact that the whole feeding ritual is in and of itself somewhat sensual, the biting of the neck. Not to mention the obvious survival benefit that being attractive will have in a society like the vampires in the world of darkness with the masquerade. It is a lot easier to convince the mere mortal to come with you down this creepy back alley if he's got a boner at the time. Whereas, somehow, I don't see this chick pulling all that many victims down the back alley. For some mysterious reason. See, this is the exact opposite again. In Vampire, vampirism is absolutely, at least in part, about sensuality. It is about beauty, physical attractiveness. It is about allure, the temptation of eternal life and eternal youth, which can then be dedicated to whatever pleasurable pursuits you so deem necessary, whether it be the investigation of the arcane arts, or simply just being a crazy anarchist, or being the eternal power monger, gathering all of the power and the money and the authority you could ever desire. With desire being again the key word here, and this, oh boy does it miss the point. Oh heavens. Now, again, this is the main character, Pyre. You will be forced to play as Pyre. There is no other characters announced, which is an Elder. Now, that is an interesting part. I do like the idea of playing as an Elder in these games, as that will put you in a very interesting and unique position within vampire society. Now, they've also announced, but here's the thing. When they started development, the Chinese room, Paradox put out an announcement saying that you could customize the character's appearance, and you could also choose the character's gender. However, we've not seen any of that. All of the official artwork is using female Pyre. All of the concept art is using female Pyre. And these outfits are supposed to be used by both characters. That's a bit weird, and as far as I know, the Chinese room themselves have never actually repeated the statement that there's going to be a male Pyre or that there's going to be a character customizer. And no, that last part, I'm not even necessarily that angry about. After all, in Masquerade 1, Bloodlines 1, you didn't actually have a character creator. You simply had a selection between clans, then male and female, which, okay, fair enough. I am not inherently opposed to that because there is a definitive visual style for the various clans. A Ventru should not be easily mistakable for a Gangrel, even if they are indeed naked. Oh, And then there's another point as well, on the Nosferatu. See, the Nosferatu are the kind of shadow opposite of the desire thing. It is the vilification of it all. It is the dark side. They are evil, they are disgusting outwardly, and they are shunned even by vampire society, putting yet further emphasis on the beauty element of it all. And this really does not hit that point in the slightest, and I wonder if they're going to be keeping any of the other characters. So we saw Elif Paramak here during one of the early trailers, and she is actually a relatively attractive woman, at the very least by current year standards. I wonder if all of that's been written out, because with the introduction of an elder rather than a fledgling, well, I imagine that's going to need some pretty major redesigns here. Not hyper hopeful for this project at the moment. Not hyper hopeful at all. The Chinese room has, as mentioned, managed to do at least something good recently in the horror vein of things, in the atmospheric design side of things, and I do like the idea of playing an elder, but whenever you see design like this, you usually know that there is something significantly deeper behind the scenes. And hey, Bloodlines 1 also had a little bit of messaging in that regard with the ending, which I'm not going to spoil here, just in case you haven't played it. By the way, do. But that was something back then. I don't think that will be done with anywhere near the grace today. See, this is, at the end of the day, simply just a symptom of what is usually a far more wide-reaching disease. And if this is the fundament of the design process as well, I think we're going to be seeing mostly this, rather than anything more conventionally attractive or interesting. Except for the men, of course. As we saw with the Acolytes, it's entirely fine to have attractive males, so long as you keep that damnable heteronormative gaze of yours locked up tight, of course. Vampire The Masquerade Bloodlines 2. I mean, we all knew that there wasn't going to be any hope for this title the moment it was announced. Nothing could ever match up to Bloodlines 1, and any attempt to do so would only end up dumping a warm bucket of piss on the game's grave. Well, the pea does appear to be boiling. Let's see if it'll actually be as vile as it appears. Until next time, I have been Arch. Thank you all very much for watching, and I do hope to see you all again soon. Till then, have a good day.